Hey everyone, it's Mr. P here. Today's video is sponsored by myself. Unfortunately, I'm a terrible sponsor, and all I'm getting for this video is exposure. Let's get into it, shall we? In our last video, we finished off by getting rid of the loops in our animation, so our Hadouken, our walk, our Hadouken, our jump, and our crouch, and we also got rid of the transition times between our individual animations. Alright, today we're going to set up our first script. To do that, we're going to right click upon our scripts folder, go to create, and go up to C# script. Now, when you first create it, you'll see it'll come up as new behavior script. We're going to rename this to player move. It is important to rename your script before you click off it, as when you open it up by double clicking on it, I'm using Visual Studio Code here. If you've clicked off it and then renamed it, you'll notice here that your public class will more than likely be new behavior script. In order for the script to work or register in Unity, the class needs to be exactly the same as what the name is in Unity. So you can't have spaces in the name in Unity or it won't work once again. So first thing we're going to do today is we're going to set up our variables. The first variable I'm going to set up will be my movement float. So I'm going to create a float called move speed, and I'm going to set that to 2.0f to start with. Alright, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rename in my player our rigid body 2D and our animator, so I don't have to keep rewriting that when I want to reference it later. To do that, I'm going to type in rigid body 2D, and I'm going to rename it to RB. Alright, and do a similar thing for our animator. I'm going to call it manim. Right, that should do for now. So, in order to actually pull these out, what we need to do is we need to do some get component in here. So to do that, we're going to reference our RB again, and we're going to get component, our rigid body 2D. And what that will do is it will search for a rigid body 2D on anything that this script is attached to. I'll do the same thing again for our animator. Alright, so now anytime I reference these, it's going to search whatever this script is attached to for a rigid body 2D and an animator. Alright, now we're going to go down to our update, and we're going to change it from a void update, which is called once a frame, to a fixed update. Now, a fixed update is much better for doing physics-based jumps. So in here, the first thing we're going to test is our ability to get the character to walk left and right. To do that, we're going to use an if statement. We're going to use the input. I'm going to use getKey. And I'm also going to use key codes. And for this game, I'll be using WASD. So in order to get the character to move, I'm going to do a transform. .translate. I'll be using a vector 3, and I want the character to move towards the left. Now, as for the speed that I want it to move at, I want to multiply it by move speed, and also by time.delta time. And that should be my left movement. So first things first, let's test that this works. So if we save it, go back to Unity, and we can check our console for errors. So right here it says vector does not exist, because that should be vector 3. Alright, so we go back to our game, it should clear the error, and that will allow us to attach our player move script onto our player. So if we drag it over, it should attach itself here. So if we press play, and then hold down the A key, our character should slide left. Excellent. Now let's get the character to move right. Now the one thing we have to remember here is that in this game, I only have a moving towards the left animation. So what I'm going to do in order to cheat the system is I'm going to flip the character around when it goes to the right, and then flip it back when it wants to move to the left. So in order to do that, let's jump back into our script. Up in our variables again, and this time we're going to put in a string. Right, so a string is a word-based variable, and I'm going to call it current direction. And I'm going to call it current direction. For its default value, I'm going to set this to left. Alright, so now I'm going to go down to my left-based movement. Right, and above my translate, I'm going to put in change direction. And I'm going to set that to left. So now I'm going to copy these lines here. So my if statement down to my close bracket. I'm going to type in else and then paste it in there. So it's now else if. I'll change my key code A to key code D and my left, right. Now we're not going to change the vector 3 from left to right because what we're going to do is flip the direction of the character. So the character's left will end up turning to the right. So now we're going to go underneath our void fixed update and we're going to create a new function. So we're going to go void and we're going to call this change direction. Right, this is going to be using a string and the string's name will be direction. So we're going to use an if statement again, and we will say if direction, actually let's use if current direction is not equal to our direction. If our direction is equal to right, we're going to transform dot rotate, and we're going to rotate it on the y-axis 180 degrees. Right, we're then going to set our current direction to equal right. Right, at the end of this if statement, we're going to go else. We'll copy the if statement down to the close brackets and change it from else if direction to left. We're going to set our current direction to left, and we're going to set our rotate to minus 180 degrees. So let's save that. Let's jump back into the game and test what we've got. So now if we press A, our character should move to the right, left. If we press D, our character should flip and walk towards the right. It's going to the left, and he's flipped and going to the right. Excellent.